Welcome to Short Movie Channel. Today's movie begins with a man named Papillon. We see him opening a safe with incredible skill, successfully stealing diamonds from it. Then, he escapes through the window. These events take place in 1931 in France. After stealing the diamonds, he immediately heads to the gang leader, who is punishing a man named Roland for leaking information to the police. Papillon shows the diamonds he stole, and the gang leader asks him, "Did you take your share?" Papillon replies, "I took my share of the diamonds, but I haven't received my share of the money yet." He then gets his money and leaves. As he's leaving, his girlfriend, Nana, is at a party. He waits for her outside until she finishes her work. When she comes out, he gives her a diamond necklace. They go out together, enjoy some drinks, and then return to Papillon's house. The next morning, Nana asks Papillon to move to the countryside like they used to live before. But Papillon refuses and asks for 6 months to save some money so they can live comfortably there. She refuses and insists on leaving that very day. At that moment, there's a knock at the door. When Papillon opens it, he's shocked to find that the man who was beaten by the gang leader has been killed, and the crime has been pinned on Papillon. He tries to prove his innocence, claiming he was with Nana all night, and she confirms this, but no one listens. A few days pass, and Nana visits Papillon in prison. She tells him she can't believe they sentenced him to life. He tells her he's already planning to escape and take revenge on everyone responsible for putting him there. He also asks her to forget about him, but she refuses, saying, "No way. I'll always wait for you." After her visit, Papillon befriends a thief named Juliet. Juliet tells him that he needs to gather money because escaping from prison without money is impossible. Later, during the prisoner's medical checkup, Juliet tells Papillon about a man named Louis Degas, a millionaire who was imprisoned for forgery. They learn that Degas is in danger because the other prisoners want to kill him to get to his money. After the checkup, the prisoners are gathered in the courtyard, where the warden announces that they will be deported to America to serve their sentences. He explains that they'll be forced to work there until they die. The prisoners are then given their clothes and escorted by guards to the ship that will take them to the new prison. On the ship, Papillon approaches Louis Degas, offering to protect him in exchange for money. Degas refuses and says he will sleep near the gate, where the guards can protect him. He also mentions that his case is under appeal and he might be released in a few weeks. Papillon apologizes to Degas and returns to his spot. In the middle of the night, Louis Degas suddenly woke up to find that one of the prisoners had stabbed another inmate in the stomach with a knife. The attacker also managed to steal the victim's money. The man died on the spot, and the guards entered immediately, taking the attacker away without any investigation or questioning. This incident left Louis Degas extremely frightened. The next morning, Louis Degas approached Papillon and told him he agreed to his offer in exchange for protection. At that moment, Papillon proposed that if they ever got a chance to escape, they would do it together. However, Louis Degas revealed that his wife and lawyer were working to get him released soon, so he didn't see the need to escape. Papillon responded by telling him he was putting too much hope in something uncertain. That night, Papillon noticed Louis Degas going about his work. Suddenly, he saw the large man who had previously killed another inmate heading straight toward Louis Degas. At that moment, Papillon decided to intervene, attacking the man and beating him up. The guards heard the commotion and sounded the alarm, releasing hot gas into the prison to burn anyone who touched the metal bars. During the fight, Papillon pushed the large man against the hot metal, causing him to suffer severe burns and collapse to the ground, unable to move. The guards entered and took the injured man away. When they saw the burns on Papillon's hands, they realized he was responsible for the incident. They took him away to face punishment. The next day, the ship arrived at its final destination, and the prisoners disembarked, walking in lines toward their new prison. At the prison, the warden addressed them, saying, "Anyone who tries to escape will face death. If you attempt to escape through the jungle, you'll starve to death. If you try through the sea, the sharks will feast on you. If you're caught escaping, the first punishment is 2 years in solitary confinement. If you're caught trying again, you'll face 5 years in solitary. And if you kill another inmate, you will be executed. Shortly after, the prisoners were assigned to push heavy carts filled with rocks. Papillon and Louis Degas were assigned to the same cart. Louis Degas was visibly exhausted, so much so that he dropped his money on the ground and couldn't bend down to pick it up. Papillon realized that Louis was suffering from a serious illness. Papillon stepped down and picked up the money, but a guard noticed and made him carry the money and add it to the cart before forcing him to keep moving. After finishing their work and taking a break, Louis Degas asked Papillon about his money. Papillon told him he had it, and explained that he kept it because Louis couldn't protect it himself. Louis angrily accused Papillon of being a thief, saying he should never have trusted him, as he had expected this to happen. Papillon felt hurt by the accusation and promised to return the money once they got back to their cell. At the same time, Louis Degas apologized to Papillon, and from that moment on, a friendship and mutual trust began to grow between them, stronger than any money they had agreed upon. Not long after, Papillon met a man named Jack, who explained that he had previously served in the Navy. Jack said that if he found an opportunity to escape, he would be willing to join them in their attempt. After their break ends, they get back to driving their cars. At that moment, they see a sailor nearby, and that's when Papillon starts talking to him, gets to know him, and asks him for help. He requests a boat so they can escape, offering $2,000 in return. But of course, the sailor refuses. Papillon then raises the offer to $4,000, and at that point, the sailor agrees. He makes a deal with Papillon, saying he'll stay by the shore for 3 days. If Papillon manages to escape within that time, he'll give him the boat to flee. The next day, we see Papillon with Louis Degas in the bathroom. Suddenly, some prisoners come in, intending to kill Louis Degas. But of course, our hero fights them off. Despite their numbers, he manages to defeat them. Shortly after that, the prison warden gathers everyone in the yard. Out of nowhere, the guards arrive with Juliet, who's been caught trying to escape. Unfortunately for him, things take a dark turn as he killed one of the guards in the process. Because of this, Juliet is sentenced to death. After the execution, the warden orders Papillon and Louis Degas to take Juliet's body and bury it in the forest. While on their way, Louis Degas can't handle the sight of the blood, collapses, and starts trembling on the ground. This frustrates one of the guards, who starts beating him to make him move. But Papillon, angered by this, grabs a rock and hits the guard on the head. Papillon then escapes into the forest, running until he reaches the shore. The guards are chasing him, but he finally makes it to the sailor. At this point, Papillon tells the sailor he doesn't have the money but promises to pay double once he's safely delivered to France. The sailor laughs, but before Papillon knows it, the guards surround him. The sailor betrays him, knowing he'll get his money either way by turning him in. The guards capture Papillon, and he expects to be executed like Juliet. But the warden informs him that the guard he attacked didn't die. Instead, Papillon is sentenced to 2 years in solitary confinement. When Papillon is placed in solitary, the guard tells him, "Even talking is forbidden here." Papillon is left in shock, unable to even speak to himself. Days turn into months, and the 2 years go by. When the guards finally open his cell to release him, they find him collapsed on the floor, weak from refusing to eat. They drag him out and take him to the hospital, assuming he's lost his sanity from the isolation and starvation. In the hospital, Papillon is placed under observation. Later, Louis Degas comes to visit him, sharing his troubles. Louis reveals that his wife has married his lawyer, leaving him alone in prison. Louis assumes Papillon has gone insane, but suddenly, Papillon starts talking. Louis is shocked but then relieved to find Papillon hasn't lost his mind. Papillon explains that he was pretending so they'd keep him in the hospital, giving him a chance to escape. Papillon learns from Louis that there will be a big event in the prison in 2 days, which will keep the guards distracted. This gives them the perfect chance to escape. To maintain his ruse, Papillon pretends to attack Louis to make the doctor and guards believe he's truly insane. The doctor intervenes and sedates him with a pill, which Papillon discreetly spits out later and keeps for later use. That night, Papillon meets another prisoner named Belle. he offers to team up and escape together in exchange for Belle creating a distraction for the hospital guards. Belle agrees, and the next day, Papillon, Belle, Jack, and Louis Degas meet to plan their escape. Jack reveals that he's made arrangements with a trusted sailor who will provide them with a boat. However, there's a catch. The sailor wants half the payment up front, and the rest once they're safely aboard. Papillon shows them the scar on his hand, explaining that he got it while trying to gain access to the hospital. He's been using this to stay close to the group and join them during the escape. Papillon takes the money from Louis Degas and also collects a stash of sedatives the doctor had been giving him. He instructs Louis to mix the sedatives into the guards' drinks during the event so they'll be incapacitated when it's time to escape. The next day, during the party, Louis Degas learns that he has to put the sedative in the guards' drinks and return everything to its original state. At the same time, Jack and Papillon are preparing to escape the hospital, while Bill carries out his task and drugs the guard until they can escape. Unfortunately for them, it starts raining, the electricity goes out, and the alarm is triggered to warn them in case any prisoners try to escape. Later, Papillon appears with the keys to free Louis Degas. When they try to leave the prison, they discover they're at a high spot and have to jump. They all manage to jump except for Louis Degas, who falls and breaks his leg. They have to support him all the way until they reach the beach, where they find the sailor, pay him, and board the boat, starting to sail quickly. However, after a while, they realize the boat is overloaded and they are about to sink. At that point, Jack decides to get rid of Louis Degas and throws him into the sea. But, of course, our hero refuses. A fight breaks out between them, and just when Jack is about to kill Papillon, Louis Degas attacks him with a knife and hits him, eventually killing him and throwing him into the sea. Papillon tries to calm things down and continues on their journey. That night, the waves grow stronger, and the boat begins to break apart, and they start sinking. The next day, Papillon wakes up to find himself on an island with many people. He is confused and doesn't know what happened. As he exits the tent he was in, he meets one of the nuns, who tells him that all his friends are okay. While heading to the tents to see his friends, he spots a police car in the forest, so he runs to get Louis Degas and Bill to escape. But as they are leaving the tent, Bill gets shot in front of their eyes and dies. They are caught and brought back to prison. 5 years pass, and we see the guard entering Papillon's solitary confinement cell. He learns that his time has finished. After leaving the cell, Papillon talks to the warden, who is surprised that he is still alive since no one who has been in that solitary confinement for 5 years has come out alive. At that point, the warden informs him that he is being transferred to another prison, known as Devil's Island Prison, which is a place no one can escape from. When Papillon enters the new prison, he notices that the inmates are weak from lack of food. He eventually meets Louis Degas, and they learn that the warden had brought him here 5 years ago because he was surprised that someone with a weak personality like him would try to escape. That was his punishment. Papillon then notices that Louis Degas has secretly stored a lot of food for himself, separate from the other prisoners. After a few days, Papillon begins exploring the prison to learn more about it. He climbs a staircase that leads to the top of the building and looks out at the ocean, observing the waves and realizing that anything thrown into the ocean is carried away far from the island. He confirms this by throwing a coconut into the ocean, and the waves take it far away. Papillon and Louis Degas then decide to build rafts out of coconuts. They gather as many coconuts as they can, construct the raft, and climb a very high rock to jump into the ocean. But at that moment, Louis Degas reveals that he has nothing left to go back to and has grown used to prison life. He doesn't want to escape. Papillon tries to convince him, but Louis Degas remains firm in his decision. Papillon bids him farewell and throws himself into the water, but he disappears for a while under the water, and Louis Degas believes he has drowned. However, Papillon reappears, climbs onto his raft, and reassures Louis Degas. Despite everything he did, he can't make it back home. In 1999, Papillon is in Italy, sitting with a writer who is documenting his life story along with that of 800,000 prisoners in America, many of whom died due to the harsh conditions they live in. Papillon's book, Papillon 12, becomes a bestseller in France for 21 weeks. The French government announces a pardon for him and allows him to return to his homeland. Papillon finally returns home, and we learn that this story is based on real events. And that concludes our film for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.